Kate.
I'm Ebong.
And I'm Sonya.
And today we're dishing with you from the National Press Club on the 13th floor. All this wonderful food.
The penthouse.
The penthouse. And now it's open to the public. So you can come and eat all this beautiful, colorful yumminess flair.
Check out the newsmakers while we're making news.
That's right. Well, today we do have a newsmaker. We have Doug Sloan, who's here to tell us why we should vote for him to be our new senator.
Congressman.
I'm sorry, Congressman.
Yes,
Of course, Congressman. It's got on the sticker. Sorry,
Hopefully you have education on your thing for reading as well.
Right. Well, speaking of, so you want us to vote for you, but for a position that doesn't get a vote.
Right.
Why?
Well, actually, it's interesting because the position actually has a vote in committee and committee of the whole, but not on the floor where all the final votes take place and a lot of the action and the horse trading is done. So it's still a pretty powerful position citywide, and you make the normal salary of a regular congressman. You have an office down on Capitol Hill. I think she has an office in Canton or Longworth or something like that. And you still get to convene with other congressmen. And like I said, you have a vote in committee, and that's where everything starts, in committee. So you can chair, I believe, the incumbent chairs subcommittees and sits on the committee for Homeland Security, Government and Oversight Reform, and Transportation.
But why do you want to be the congressman? I mean, we have somebody who's been in office for as long as I can remember.
Over 20 years.
So why?
Yeah.
What
Maybe
makes
that's
you?
why.
Maybe why should you be the one to
well,
get the incumbent?
I'm one of the first people to run against the incumbent in the past 20 years. No one hardly ever runs for this position, and
Why do you think that is? Then we'll get back to the other question, but why is that?
I have a hard time understanding because I feel the seat is grossly underutilized. I feel that the congressional representative can be doing a lot more at the local level to, focus on policy issues that directly affect district residents and actually help people at the community level. So I think that a lot can be done with this seat. I don't understand why people haven't run.
But what have you done in the past that has been positive that we can sort of look at that resume and be like, yeah, he has accomplished things?
Well, I've been an ANC commissioner for the last 8 years. I just finished serving as chair of my ANC commission. That's the Advisory Neighborhood Commission. It's a local elected body here in the District of Columbia, and I currently serve as treasurer.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're gonna have to
We'll
keep
do a
talking
cut.
about it. You won't see that.
Start with treasurer.
So I've been treasurer at ANC 4B, and I've also served as vice president of the Ward 4 Democrats, which is the local ward arm of the DNC, vice president of the DC Young Democrats, which is the young Democrats arm, the young arm of the DNC as well. And I've also worked as a legislative analyst for the City Council Committee on the Judiciary, and as a community relations director for City Council Member Harold Brazil, as well as an outreach coordinator for Mayor Williams. And I worked for Senator Leahy on the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. So I have a lot of experience.
You've been active, so
grassroots.
maybe she's watched you. Maybe she know you're coming then. So she's been watching you come up for a while now. You've had your eye on this for a bit?
I've had my eye on it, well, I guess over the past maybe 4 years. I've just been looking at it, and I've been wondering what's been going on. She's been there for 20 years. And, the main idea of, she's a non-voting delegate. Like you said, there's no vote on the floor.
Yeah,
so the whole idea behind the non-voting delegate is to get a vote. And it's been 20 years and we still don't have one. And we just came through this wonderful period, as you know, with the President of Congress, where we had a filibuster-proof supermajority in both the House and the Senate. They passed health care. That's never been done in the history of the U.S. Congress. They passed Wall Street reform. And she never introduced the statehood bill. So I had a big issue with that.
So let's say you won. What would your timetable be if you're saying, she had 20 years?
Yeah, she had 20 years.
What would you give yourself?
I would like at least 10.
Okay.
At least 10. I would like at least 10. But right now I talk about a statehood plan that would take about 5 to 7 years. And the whole idea behind that is to involve the national advocacy organizations like the NAACP, the National Urban League, as well as the League of Women Voters and the ACLU, different groups that are involved in this type of thing, and work with them to educate the electorate outside of DC. You see, once again, like you said, I've been working grassroots from the ground up. You have to build a solid foundation on any idea that you have if you want to see it come to fruition. And so my idea is to work from the ground up to educate the electorate, people in the states like Iowa and Kansas and California and Texas, because they don't know that we don't have the same rights, privileges, and liberties as every other American citizen. We pay our taxes, we fight and die in foreign lands, we serve on federal juries,
And
yet
they
we
just
don't-
see it on our license plates when they come to visit.
Yeah, and they're like, what's that? You know, and maybe a few of them will ask the question, but a lot of them are like, oh, these crazy
That's great, because
Washingtonians.
I just think that's part of the problem. A lot of people here regionally understand it, they
Yeah.
get it, but we don't get it outside of the area.
Exactly.
And so education is the key.
It's the key. That's the key. And these organizations I'm talking about, I've already talked to Ben Jealous of the NAACP. I've already talked to Mark Morial of the Urban League. They both think it's a great idea. And each one of these advocacy groups that I mentioned have offices in each of these states. The NAACP has an office in every state except for North or South Dakota, I forget which. And so they're already out there. So you enlist their help and you get out there and you educate the electorate. And the second component to my plan is to build relationships. The incumbent has been there for over 20 years.
So she has some relationships.
Well, here's the deal with that. She has run unopposed in Democratic primary for each one of those terms with the exception of one. I think in 2006, someone ran against her. He didn't get much play or much attention, and it really didn't push too much of a campaign forward. But she's, you know, so it wasn't a threat at all. But she's run unopposed for all those other times. So she could have been raising money for Democratic candidates that were in tough races nationwide, to build friendships, to build allies that we need in our statehood fight. She could have been raising money in the primary, she could have been raising money in the general election. And that's key. And she's a senior member now. She's been there for over 20 years. I think she's 73, 74 years old. She can raise money. Lord knows she can raise money with her eyes closed. But she wasn't doing that. And it's very important to build those alliances so that you can count on those people as allies when you push your statehood bill forward to get them to support you so we can push it through. And that wasn't done. So
Green initiatives and, you know, vote,
Jobs.
jobs and votes. So give me the third sort of leg on your stool of your platform.
of change.
Of change.
Of change.
There you
I've
go.
heard that
There you
before.
go. Platform of change, and change is a good thing.
Well, that would be a big change.
It would be a very big change. Education is the key. It is the bottom line. It is the force that drives us. So I have a platform for education. I would like to, I support the conventional programs for education like Title I and Head Start, but I'm also a big supporter of Opportunity Scholarship programs. And that's actually a federal program where you have federal government money that goes to local public school children that may be struggling in their different public school environments and gives them money to go to private schools. We have some of the best private schools in the nation. Senators, congressmen, presidents send their kids to our private schools. And she cut the funding for that program. She didn't think it was a good idea. But I think it's a great idea. I think now in the chancellor, DC Public School Chancellor Reed, actually supports this program because she understands, like, listen, I'm trying to fix the public schools, but they're not done yet. And this gives a lot of kids in the inner city over in Northeast and Southeast and some of the toughest neighborhoods an opportunity to get a private school education, which I think is a great idea, especially since it's not local money, it's federal money. That's a no-brainer.
Well, on the heels of that, I got
awesome.
one last question to ask you. We did kind of joke about how you're asking us to vote for a non-voting position, but then we alluded to the fact that your placement on the committees is very important, and a lot of that comes through seniority. So the fact that she has been there for 20 years has allowed her to have a position on a committee that to really push forward or not push forward, whatever her motivations were. Well, you're not going to have that seniority in the event that you are elected. But what committees would you be pushing for? Where would you like to be? And where would you like to be?
Well, of course, I would like to be on Ways and Means. That's where the money
The money
is.
is, yeah.
So if anyone's out there listening, Ways and Means is where I'm going to be on the committee when I get elected. Public buildings and infrastructure, that's also a key committee. I really wish that she would take a better advantage of it. Out of the top 15 federally funded construction projects in the city, none of them are led by local developers and none of them are led by minority developers. And that's a travesty in this city. And if I was
That's a surprise. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's a
that
big
is a
surprise.
surprise.
And that's major because that's jobs. When you hire local developers, when you hire local minority developers, you are giving people in the district jobs. And that's critical, especially with our unemployment rate being so high. So she's on some good ones, and I would look to move that forward and use those relationships to get on, different committees that are going to help improve the lives of residents in the District of Columbia.
Well,
And
Deb
that's what I want to
Sloan,
do.
it certainly sounds like there's a lot that we can learn from you. I hope that people are finding out about your candidacy, understanding that they have a decision, and going to the polls and making that decision on September 14th.
I hope so.
Please come back and check us out right here next time on the District Dish.